It's in the brainstem. It's in the spine. It's in the brain. It's in organs of your body. It's in the gut. That's why, you know, we have cases of bowel problems with the autism community. We're having bowel problems with the Gardasil girls. Okay? This is going on. We don't know what is happening because nobody has studied this. I even asked Diane Harper, who was a lead researcher for both Gardasil and Cervarix, and she even confirmed they did not research this. Okay.
What we do know, and I'll go to the next slide, Cynthia, what we do know, everyone, is that none of these girls are getting better. None of them are getting better. And a lot of them are getting worse during the premenstrual phase of their cycle, and their body's resistance to what Cynthia is talking about, circulating the body, is getting less with each menstrual cycle. Or we might have some girls doing better for a while, and then all of a sudden something triggers, and they're back in bed, or they're back in the hospital, or back in the ER room. There's no rhyme or reason to that, and again, backing up to what Cynthia is saying here.
Right. And everything.
So what we have here is a combination of the hormones and the histamine and the IgE. Cynthia, I think I went too far ahead on these slides, but go ahead.
That's okay. No, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, and you know, and like Leslie said earlier, we backed up everything we're talking about here with studies. I even pulled the IgE, how damaging it is to the body, from Merck's own website. You know, I have, you know, brought up from items from Texas Heart Organization, from the NCB, you know, BI, which is through PubMed. We use their own science to prove what we have going on, because you not only have the imbalance in hormones, you have increases in testosterone. You know, there you go. That's your autism link right there. You have the allergy connection, which is increased levels of IgE in the autism community. I did a little unscientific study. Majority of everybody who responded to me from the autism community, they have a family history of allergies, higher levels of histamine. So what we have here, and if you know, is and just to go to the next slide, is that there are several physiological issues that are responsible for the dramatic increase in adverse events reports for these HPV vaccines. During the follicular phase of the menstrual cycle, the production of estrogen releases histamine. During the luteal phase, the protective effects of estradiol sharply decline. Production of the progesterone increases, and the immune system becomes more easily compromised. Succumbing to the overdose of histamine from three sources: L-histidine in the environmental toxins, estrogen mimickers, and the body's own natural production of histamine. The rise and decline of hormones, the rise and decline in immunity, overproduction of histamine may be a factor as to why the health of the girls adversely affected by the HPV vaccines is not improving. Both HPV vaccines. Go ahead.
Let me jump. Yeah, I need to jump in here, because when I first started this out, when I presented my webinar way back in October on menstruation and vaccines, my premise is that getting vaccinations during the premenstrual phase was certainly more detrimental to a young woman's health. That still stands. However, with the introduction of histamine in this and L-histidine in this vaccine, and the bombardment of histamine, especially through the production of estrogen, which is compounded with estrogen mimickers and environmental toxins, there's a bipolar effect going on here. In the first part of the menstrual cycle, after menstruation, when the hormones are rising, you've got estrogen rising, throwing off histamine. There's histamine coming from the vaccine in the form of a synthetic histidine. And then in the latter part of the cycle, the luteal phase, or right before the period, you've got the immune system just collapsing in on itself. And so you've got all this histamine in the body, and yet the immune system is no longer able to protect the body from the bombardment of all of that histamine. Go on, Cynthia.
Right. No, not a problem. The other thing is with both HPV vaccines, Cervarix and Gardasil, they are VLPs, which is virus-like particles. This can be termed molecular mimicry. And when an antigen, like a virus, in a vaccine is structurally similar to the antigen in the host, antibodies are produced that react with the host's normal tissue. We're looking at, healthy tissue damage here. Now, allergy sufferers with moderate to severe asthma, they have IgE levels greater than 1,000 units per milliliter. Normal serum levels of IgE in individuals without allergies is less than 70 units per milliliter. You're looking at a lot of free-floating IgE that's available for binding to the activated mast cells within the whole body. Now, more mast cell activation and degranulation may lead to an increased release of inflammatory histamine. Okay? This is, like I said, histamine attaches itself to the mast cells. They're in the heart. They're in the circulatory system, the brainstem, the spinal column, the brain. It's within the whole body. And they're releasing all this. And this reaction also leads to the Th2 cytokine and leukotriene secretion, resulting in systemic anaphylaxis in the form of an allergy. So they may not have true anaphylactic shock, but they have a severe allergic reaction, and that's not being taken into consideration. And this proves an increased risk of injury due to an overload of histamine being released from the mast cells, causing more severe inflammatory response throughout the body. Tissue damage due to this process can cause hypertrophy of smooth muscles. Smooth muscles are evident in the heart. With the re-challenge to an already active immune response, we could have more smooth muscle damage, especially to the heart, and damage to the central nervous system. With all our research, and I'm not kidding, we spent 3 years tracking all this down and working through all this. Due to the lack of safety testing in regards to hormone, histamine, and IgE level effects due to challenge and re-challenge on the female and male physiology, the risks of the HPV vaccines outweigh any benefit they say is there.
So this is what we presented as an outcome to the FDA, and Dr. Eisenstein, I know we're way over time, but we presented that we'd like to see a safety study of participants in regards to irregular pap tests and cervical lesions 2 to 4 years post-vaccination to be performed by an independent entity, review of new medical conditions to see if they are resolved or intensified 3 to 4 years post-vaccination, and to be performed by an independent entity, study on fertility of individuals reporting adverse events, implementation of menstrual cycle evaluation and guidelines for vaccine administration for women between menarche and menopause, implementation of additional guidelines to the approval process to include hormone, IgE, and histamine levels to prove safety of products.
Let me tell you something. Just phenomenal. There's no words for it. And I can tell you, I want to add one more thing to this outcome here. It should be immediately taken off the market until this is done. Immediately. This is, it's interesting. My late professor, Dr. Robert Mendelsohn, said almost 40 years ago, every vaccine causes neurological damage. We may not be able to see what it is for a while. And boy, you have just outlined this magnificently. This is frightening. Leslie and Cynthia, thank you. But I can tell everyone, you went so fast because you had so much data to cover that I could barely keep up with anything. I want to know it'll be available on the archives for everyone to watch again and to listen again. And Leslie, can you give everyone who's listening the website they can go to if they want more information?
Yes, the website where the FDA webinar documents are at www.truthaboutgardasil.org. You can email me your questions, because we're probably out of time for questions, at leslie@holyhormones.com, and I will direct them to Cynthia. It does look like we have someone here who does want to ask something, but I don't know how far we can go, Dr. Eisenstein.
We are literally... Yeah, we're literally out
here.
of time. I'm going to ask you if you can, if we can set up a time and I'll let everyone know, we'll be able to have just a question. There's tons of questions here, you know, and let's hopefully in the near future we'll set up a question and answer period. Thank you, everyone.
That sounds great.
And thank you so much.
Thank
Leslie.
you for having me on.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. Truthaboutgardasil.org.